Hello, Ellen Petronella here, and today I will show you how I embroider text into my stitch journal. I'm absolutely delighted to see how many have absolutely just fallen in love with the practice of a slow stitch journal over on my Instagram, petronella.art, as well as through the email community. I've received so many questions how I stitch the text. Do I transfer it in advance using a transfer method and then follow it, or do I just go with the flow? What technique do I use? Here you can see I use the single strand, makes it a little bit thinner. And here I used full thickness, giving a completely different vibe. So first of all, if you see this stitch journal for the first time and you go, wow, I also want to make a stitch journal. I love journaling, but you want to have that extra tactile movement and well, being able to stitch fabric pieces as well as adding some really nice colors. Check out the link below where I have a free workshop on how I put this one together. So I'll put the link to that right below and go ahead, join it. I'll also link to a video where I show you how I embroider or how I put together the cover of the book. So without further ado, I wanted to keep this one a little bit shorter. So I already cut out a piece of floss here, but I was thinking that to balance off the thickness, so this is what I did in a live stream, Follow Your Gut, when I received the question, how I embroidered text. I'm going to pull one strand out of the floss, thread my needle. I'll make a knot on the back end. And I believe that today I want us to write, again, you write whatever you want, but I just wanted to demonstrate how I wing it, if you will. I do not write any of the text into the book in advance. It will also allow you to see how I'm able to embroider text without the pages being loose. So I've stitched all of the pages into the journal in advance because that simply made it easier for me to bring this book along with me as I'm out and about. So I let it land or let it rest on a table in front of me. I lift the designated page and I pull through where I want to get started. And then I go. So I do a variation of backstitch. Let's zoom in a little bit closer to the actual area where I'm writing. Start with the first straight stitch, going back to the previous hole, and then back, if you will, or forward to the hole that is in front in the direction that you're going. So I want to write slow stitching because that's really what this stitch journal is all about. So you can see now again, make a first stitch in the direction I want to go back to the previous hole to close the gap, and then go through the hole in front. And I pull through. So as I'm not using a hoop, I just need to be mindful of how hard I pull. I have a raw linen base, have a raw linen fabric base, so I'm going to be actually flipping my book because it makes it a little bit easier as I go along. But with a raw linen base, it is extra soft. It's more soft compared to, let's say, a cotton base, so that makes you have to be even extra mindful to not pull too hard, or you will create little bubbles as you have stitching on both on the front and on the back. You will also notice here, as I'm starting with an S, I kind of chose the most difficult letter to start with. Whenever there are rounded shapes, the secret is to make shorter stitches and you'll be able to control the letter more. I'm not aiming for perfection here. I'm aiming for process. I'm aiming for softness. I'm aiming for feeling good, for good vibes. If it's not perfectly, exactly, the way that a perfectly drawn S would be, I don't mind, because that is part of what I personally, so I keep referring to me personally because this is such a personal experience. I do not believe, I'm not an artist who's going to tell you, do exactly how I do it. This is the only right way. No, I believe there are multiple right ways, and I believe that the most important is for you to feel empowered in the choices you're making and feeling that you have access to the tools and support for you to be able to realize those visions that you have. So try in whatever way feels good for you. If you feel nervous just freehanding it, of course you can write it out first and follow those lines. Whereas if you want to embrace the wonkiness of just free stitching it, then I invite you to give it a try. You know, the worst thing that can happen is that you just cut up the thread or pull up a stitch and you just do it again. I do believe that potentially, as I wanted to keep this a short and very concise, straight to the point tutorial, I may only write the first word slow because, well, as the slow stitching concept, the slow stitching movement implies, well, it's already taken me a few minutes to just write slow. This particular stitch journal, I have actually been working on it on and off for 2 years already, simply because each word takes quite a lot of time. And I personally think that, again, that's the whole point. This is not one of those type of projects that you just want to get on with, that you just want to finish. This is the type of project that you want to have as an in-between project, that you want to have whenever you don't know what to create, or, you know, you're tired of the current project you're working on, but you still want to do something. The stitch journal is perfect for that. Perfect. So we just stitched slow while chatting a little bit. It's not perfectly straight, but you can read it, right? I used the backstitch technique in a single strand. I'll flip it over, pull through one of the stitches, leave a loop, and I'll close the knot. I'll do a second one just to be certain, and I'll cut it. I'm not too worried. Oh, this was terrible. I need to wash my scissor. It looks like, I believe that my daughter must have found it and play with it. So I'm definitely gonna go and wash that. All right. That is how I freehand and embroider into my journal. A little tip in case, I know that many are worried about not writing entirely straight. What you can do is to stitch just a loose running stitch line, or you just do like a straight stitch, but generally a running stitch line that is straight, just to help you make sure that it doesn't get too angled, because if the letters themselves are a bit wonky, well, that's part of the charm, but you maybe don't want to have it too leaning. This, for example, as I was doing this during a live stream, I was a little bit nervous. It got slightly more down here than I would have ideally wanted to do if I was just alone in my chair, you know, just chilling. One tip to make the lines more straight is to just do a temporary running stitch straight like that, and then you just cut that open and take it away once you have finished. I didn't do that here right now, but I primarily wanted to focus on just how I used the backstitch for the text. All right, thank you so much. I hope that this was helpful. If you haven't already gotten the free stitch journal workshop where I show you how I put this stitch journal together, well, be sure to check out the link below where you can find a free workshop on how I did that. If you're looking for otherwise more learning and teaching about hand embroidery, do check out. I've got loads of online classes. I have over 100 patterns, architectural hand embroidery patterns as well. You know, there is no way you cannot find something that is exactly what you need. So I look forward to see you in the next one. Thank you.